Hey, how's it going? In this video today, we're gonna go over the strategy that we use, the exact strategy that we use to generate returns on TikTok as high as 7x. So let's go ahead and hop into it. I'm gonna go through our entire TikTok ad strategy and really break down every piece of it. And so hopefully you can implement something similar and find similar success. All right, so let's go ahead and get right into the strategy. So this is the Ascend approach to TikTok advertising. And really what this is the exact approach that we use in order to generate our clients' results, okay? So really getting into it, what this results in is adding $1 to $2 million in annual recurring revenue. So if you put enough ad spend behind these strategies, that's where you'll be. You'll add an extra $1 to $2 million. And really what this focuses on is TikTok and viral UGC and really getting you off the unscalability of one channel, okay? So the first, first and foremost, is just a brand signed on in March, and then you can see they're already up by 40% on just their overall revenue. So like this stuff really does work. We'll go through more case studies, but just to like show you initially, like it's amazing what it can do. Okay, so really what we focused on doing is being the force behind the world's fastest growing premium e-com brands through acquiring less and scaling more. Just a little bit about us. Okay, and so this is the problem currently with Facebook and really Google as well. We have rising CPMs and CPAs. So even if your ads are good, your costs are getting higher to acquire a new customer. CPMs are going up like crazy because platforms tracking is, a lot worse. And just overall the platforms are going downhill with that. iOS 14 tracking isn't working that well. Creative isn't working as well as it used to, right? People are just so used to seeing ads on Facebook and Instagram that now like they're not as responsive as they were a couple of years ago. In general, there's just a poor sentiment around platforms like Instagram and Facebook to where people are just like, I'm so sick of this platform. It's just the content. I don't really like it anymore. I've been here for like 6 years. I'm kind of over it. That's what we're seeing as well. And then just ultimately these channels are archaic. They're copying other channels. They're no longer really innovating. And so we just see that they're archaic, they're old, and they're not really on the up and up like other platforms, okay? So with TikTok, what we're finding is we're having at least 2x lower CPMs compared to other platforms and as high as 8x lower. So for every dollar you spend on Facebook or Instagram or Google, what we're seeing is it would be about 50 cents, or it would be about $2 compared to TikTok, right? And if you're spending anything in the realm of like $10, $15 on your CPMs, you could be spending, $5 to $7 on TikTok, okay? And this is just an example of this. So this is the same company, same ad, same creative, everything's the same offer, same landing page, right? And the CPM on their Facebook and Instagram ads were $89. On TikTok, on average, they're around like $7, $8, right? So it doesn't even make sense. Like the numbers don't even line up. That's what we're seeing right now, okay? And what we're also seeing with TikTok is you have 5 times higher engagement. So when you have an ad, you actually get a lot of organic growth beyond the ad spend, right? So even if you just post organically on TikTok, you're gonna see 5 to 8 times higher engagement than on Instagram or Facebook. It's super hard to grow a Facebook page or Instagram page right now, but on TikTok, it's really easy. You can have a massive amount of growth. Same thing with ads very quickly, okay? And that's really because what we're seeing is people, like users of TikTok, are spending up to 95 minutes a day. That's like the average for users. So it's a lot of time being spent on the platform. So the chances of your content being seen by more people is a lot higher, okay? All right, and we're also just seeing in general, a really high consumer spend. So in 2022, we're seeing the same trend really reflect this as well. But in 2021, it was the #1 app for consumer spending, more than YouTube, more than Tinder, more than Disney Plus, all this stuff. So there's a lot of money being pumped through the platform. It's not just engagement, it's money being pumped through. So that's really the main focus of it. We're also just seeing a lot of organic growth, right? Like I said, it's so easy to grow organically on TikTok. I'm sure you've heard of crazy stories of people getting 100,000 followers in a month. This stuff happens all the time. Same thing with ads. If you get a lot of comments and likes, it's going to be kind of self-promoting and it's going to have kind of a virality effect, right? Where it can actually go viral on its own without you really having to put much into thinking about like tags or targeting or anything like that, okay? And then ultimately, it's just the future medium. Like TikTok style content, short vertical video content, beyond even TikTok as a platform. Short vertical video content is the media of the future. We first had the blog, then we had long form video, then we had Facebook, which is kind of the combination of pictures and blog posts. And then we had Instagram, which is just purely photocentric, Twitter, purely text centric. Now we're in a space where everyone has a phone, everyone has a camera, everyone has the shortest attention span. So what makes sense? Short form vertical video. That's what makes sense because everyone has a device, everyone has a short attention span, and everyone has the ability to record their own content for other people to see. So it's kind of the ultimate medium. And we're now seeing this is like one of the final evolutions of like current technology, which is just short form vertical content. That's like the evolution that's everything's been leading up to. Okay. And just to show you an example of this, if we follow the money on Facebook's last earnings call, they mentioned the word Reels around 45 times, right? 47 times. So compared to how many times they mentioned Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok, obviously they're not going to mention their competitor that much because that looks bad. But you can see that everyone's copying TikTok. Netflix has short video called Fast Laughs. Google has YouTube Shorts. Obviously, Instagram has Reels. Snapchat's already been doing it, right? So this is what we're seeing is that short form video is just being copied and it's becoming the new standard, right? And if we follow the money, there's hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars going into creator funds for YouTube Shorts, for Facebook, for all these platforms to get short form video creators into the platform, creating content on their platform to try to drive more user growth, okay? So we follow the money, we follow what people are saying, it's all going short form vertical. Just look at the earnings call. Reels was mentioned like 3 times higher than Facebook or Instagram. It's where the money is going. And if it's where the money is going, that's where you want to be. Okay, great. So what this really comes down to is should you find yourself in a chronically leaking boat, energy devoted to changing vessels is likely to be more productive than energy devoted to patching leaks. So this is a quote from Warren Buffett and essentially means ultimately, the vehicle you're in is going to determine your success a lot more than trying to constantly repair it. So it's easier a lot of times to just switch to a jet plane from a car if you're trying to get somewhere, right? A lot of people are in this sinking ship of Facebook, Google, Instagram, etc. And it's like, you could try fixing it. You could try a fifth agency, or you could just try something completely new. Just try something new. It's not even close to the same. It's a completely different platform. Algorithm is completely different. Form of medium is completely different. It's not even the same. So switch mediums and you'll probably find a lot more success, okay? So change the vessels and stop just sitting in a sinking ship, okay? Cool. And like we have a lot of case studies on this. So you can check out our site here. You can see the case studies on the strategy, but like, again, this stuff really works, okay? So let's go ahead and hop into the strategy. So really, the key parts that are needed for TikTok to work are the research, content testing, scale, and automation phase. This is really the Ascend approach, and this is how you can get to that 7x return, okay? So in the research phase, there's a few key things you need to identify. Number one, you need to understand what your target ROAS is based on your cost of goods. If you don't know how to do that, we do have a free sheet. Just let me know if you want it, and the sheet will literally calculate, okay, this is the ROAS you need to go for based off all your costs and how much profit you want to make, okay? So that's thing one, understand your metrics, understand what you need to hit. The other two pieces are going to be breaking down your target market, your copy, and your brand identity for TikTok. TikTok's a little different than other platforms. You can't just put what you've been saying on Facebook and Instagram on TikTok, messaging and copy-wise. You have to morph your brand identity a little bit to fit better on the platform. So again, if you want a free sheet on how to change your brand identity a little or just emphasize different parts to work better on TikTok, that's also very important to do. So things like the founding story, brands, values, all that kind of thing, you need to break that down, target market, brand identity, and really understand all of that. And the last part is a creative analysis. So looking at competitors, looking at what other people are doing on the platform, exploring the top converting ads in your space, and really breaking down, okay, what kind of creative and creators do you need to work with in order to be successful on the platform? So when it comes to research, it's metric research, understanding what return you need to get. It's brand research as far as brand identity and target market. So breaking that down so you know who to target and you know who you are, what kind of messaging, copy, and angles you need to be putting out there. And then it's creative research, which is what are other people doing on the platform? What kind of videos and creators do you need to be making and working with? Okay, great. So then we get into the content phase. And for TikTok content, I'm not going to go over like how to develop really good high converting TikTok ad content. Totally depends on the niche, by the way, what does well. But ultimately what we find is that it's best to just build a 5 to 15 person creator team and then have them produce content. You give them a creative brief, tell them kind of what to do, what to say based off your creative research, have them send in content, get a few different edited variations of it, run that as ads, run those ads for 7 days each. So you get 40 videos a month at least, run them each for 7 days. That's about how long they last on average, and then do it again. That's all it is. But to get 5 to 15 really good creators, you have to work with a lot more than that. So you use platforms like Creator Marketplace, Twitter. There's a bunch of like UGC platforms you can find on Google. Go ahead, reach out to creators. You pay for one video at a time, test their one video. If it does well, add them to the team. If it doesn't, drop them. And then after a while, you'll find kind of a group of 5 to 15 creators, and then you can just get them on long-term deals to be creating content for you on a weekly, daily, whatever you want basis. And then your brand becomes synonymous with their brand, which is really good over time. And then you can just swap people in and out as needed. So why we like creators, it's really simple. You get authentic user-generated content. It's real, it's good. You can pick creators from any niche you want. They have influence. So when you pay these people to work with you, they post it. So you also get to use their audience as leverage, which is great. It's kind of a good testing ground to see if it's worth putting ad spend behind the ad. It's easy to scale. So you can just add more creators to your team or take off some if you don't need that many, right? Really easy to scale up and down. You can white label, so you can just run ads through the creator's account, which gets you, again, instant reputation and like reputability because they already have followers and they already have an influence. And then of course the content becomes yours, so you can use it on all your other channels, right? So content's like completely taken care of essentially. And the way we think about finding creators is that you want to identify all the sub niches to where your brand is relevant and find creators in each of those sub niches. So what that means is if you're in the beauty space, let's say you're a premium skincare brand, within premium skincare, there's a bunch of sub niches. You have like vitamin C serums, you have people into moisturizers, you have people that are making like premium DIY at home made skincare treatments. You have people in like the more medicinal, herbal and natural skincare space. You have people in like the really high end luxury skincare space, like the Aesop space, right? So your brand is going to be relevant in a bunch of different sub niches. So you need to find, this is why that target market research phase is so important. You need to find, like if your target market is Tom and Liz, you need to find who they're following and essentially all the sub niches that they are following in. So what I mean by that is all the creators that they're following, they each fall into a certain sub niche, and you need to find kind of who your target market is following and really get your product in all those people's hands. So you have sub niche 1, you have sub niche 2, you have sub niche 3, you have all these different creators and all these sub niches. You want to be working with all of them so that your target market is literally surrounded by your product and it's relevant in all these different sub niches. So send your product out to people in, again, for the premium skincare example, send your product out to people in the herbal skincare space, in the medicinal skincare space, in the premium luxury skincare space, even if it's not exactly in line with your brand. Because if your research says that your target market's following all these people in all these sub niches, you need to have that omnipresence and you need to surround them with your product. And you do that by giving it to creators and working with creators in all of the relevant sub niches relative to your target market, okay? Cool. And really the way this process works is you need to focus on trends, really do your analysis as far as what's trending by looking at the top ads, find creators, brief creators. Again, that's a whole separate topic as far as briefing creators, but essentially just telling them, you know, here's what you should be focusing on the video. Make sure you mention this, this, and this. Make sure you have this call to action, and then the rest is up to you. That's basically what a brief is. Of course, you get the creative, test the creative. If it does well or a portion of it does well, you iterate and do it again. So if the first 3 seconds of the video are perfect, but the rest is bad, okay, now you know you have a good first 3 seconds for the future, but you need to figure out, you know, the last section. So then you iterate and do it again, okay? Great. So now we're getting into testing, which is the third part of the Ascend approach. So this is about media buying. So there's really only 3 parts to media buying on TikTok. This is always changing though. So as of now, this is what's working, but really we focus on hyper broad audiences. So just putting no targeting in whatsoever, just automatic targeting. And then we do stacked, and stacked is where we just put in kind of our key interests. So again, if you're a premium skincare brand, it would just be like skincare, beauty, moisturizer, like every relevant interest, like 20 to 50 interests, just stack them all together, put them in a clump, and then test those. And you can do some different variations of stack interests. And then later on, you can do retargeting, okay? But retargeting doesn't come into play until you've had at least like 1,000 to 500 purchases on TikTok, okay? Cool. And just a note on this as well, what we're seeing is that cost caps are also killing it. So if you have, let's say, a hyper broad audience or a stacked audience that's doing well, you're getting you're running it as a purchase conversion campaign and you're getting, let's say, like a $10 cost per acquisition. you can do a cost cap and say like $8, $7, $6 is how much I'm willing to pay for my acquisition now. And doing duplicated audiences with different cost caps, it's called a cost cap walk down, works really, really well. Again, it's a separate thing, but that's a key strategy that we use when scaling, okay? Cool. So when it comes to testing on a new TikTok pixel, you really need 50, 50, 50. So you have to train the pixel, you have to get it data for it to do well. So you need 50 add to carts, ideally within 7 days and every 7 days thereafter, 50 initiate checkouts every 7 days and after, and then 50 purchases. So we start out with add to cart campaigns. We need to get 50 add to carts as quickly as we can. Once we see we've gotten 50, then we'll make a complete payment campaign with 50 and then an initiate checkout as well. Sometimes we'll skip the initiate checkout if it's a brand with an AOV $50 and under, but if they have an AOV $50 and higher, we'll usually do an initiate checkout objective conversion campaign and wait till we get 50 initiate checkouts, and then we'll do the 50 purchase campaign. So 50, 50, 50. And then ultimately for a fully optimized pixel, you need 1,000 of each. So over time, you'll get like 1,000 add to carts, 1,000 purchases, etc. At that point, you have a fully optimized pixel and you can really start doing retargeting and playing around with it. But it takes a while, and that's why you just kind of stick with the 50 and then you can start scaling from there. But this is just when you have an optimized pixel, okay? Cool. KPIs when testing. So when you're running ads, you're doing your add to cart campaign, or you're doing this is focused for a complete payment campaign. Really what you want to look for is a 2% click-through rate or above. You can have successful ads with a 1%, but it's not as common. Usually 2% more or less is what you're going to want to go for, okay? And then your CPM, ideally under $10. Again, this depends on the niche. If you're selling an expensive product, it's going to be like maybe $20, $30. But usually it should be like $10 or less. If it's a more expensive product, you'll be in like the $20 to $30 range. But in general, this is what it looks like, okay? Then cost per click, definitely under $1 for most products, unless you're selling something that's in the $100 range or higher. Cost per click should usually be under $1, okay? And this one is a non-negotiable. Doesn't matter the niche, I don't care what it is. Average watch time per person should be at least 5 seconds, greater than 5 seconds. So you need to make sure that people are watching the video for long enough to actually know whether that creative is scalable. So at least 5 seconds, we see up to 10 seconds. And then that means it's like a really, really good video. So all very important things, okay? And of course, the ultimate decider of whether you should cut or scale an ad is of course, CPA. So if your cost per acquisition is too high, try cost caps, try forcing it to acquire someone for less. But of course, your CPA needs to be in range, which again, we determined at the beginning in that ROAS sheet where we really diagnosed what kind of ROAS you need, okay? Great. And if you hit all those metrics, your CPA is in range, then just scale, 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 just up the budget. 20 to 30% a day is good as long as it holds. And then you can also duplicate ad sets. So that also works as well. Okay. Cool. So this just goes through like our team a little bit, but it doesn't really matter for this video. Just want to kind of show you the overall view. So the Ascend approach buying flow, what you're going to need to do is the research phase, step one, understand again, what ROAS you need to hit, who you are as a brand on TikTok, relevant to that audience on TikTok, what kind of target market you're going after on the platform, the angles, the people themselves, like who they are, what the sub niches are that you should be targeting based off that target market. And of course, the last but most important piece, doing that creative analysis and seeing what the competitors are doing on TikTok and kind of taking inspiration from that when you're creating your own creative. Next is building that creator team. So going ahead and working with creators in all of your sub niches. We usually focus on trying to get, again, you need at least 4 creatives a month because the creatives last about 7 days each on average. So you need one for each week of the month. That is a good creative. So if you're not sure whether you're going to get good creative back, you might need to do 8 to 16 creatives. You can edit them up and then end up with 30 plus creatives if you just change around the first 3 seconds, the hook, call to action, the body, etc. Right? After you get that creative team kind of built, you're testing creative, etc., then you can go into the media buying phase where you get your 50 add to carts and then 50 purchases. And again, which metrics you need to hit to scale or to cut your ads. So just focus on those. And then of course, with that content that you get, you can push it on your other channels, organic and paid. It does really well on Facebook, by the way. So TikTok content excels on Facebook. And you can also just use it as organic content on TikTok and of course paid through TikTok. And then ultimately all these channels and all that creative is just being sent to your store. So that's really the Ascend approach buying flow, okay? So I hope this video helps when it comes to like our strategy and our approach. We can get way more technical when it comes to media buying and when it comes to creative briefs, when it comes to developing creative. But from a high level view, this is kind of what it looks like. So let me know if you have any questions. Try to implement some of these strategies in your TikTok ads. Let me know how it goes, and we'll talk soon.